Hi, welcome to our 7-acre homestead in Central Texas. There have been so many new people this past week that we're like, let's just reintroduce ourselves and take you on a tour of our property today. So I'm going to show you around our little 7 acres and, ooh, got bit by an ant. It's going to be a day, guys. We'll take you around our spot and I'll tell you a story of how we became homesteaders.
You want me to carry the coffee so you can...
Yeah, let's walk in, free some ducks from their prison right now. So, as most homesteaders begin, we had an itch, but not like a gross kind. We were in the city, and our little boys were just kind of outgrowing our backyard. So Bo got this itch and was inspired by a Homestead magazine that was just like an outdoor magazine my mom had picked up for my brother. And in 2015, Bo thought Jesus was coming back, so he went ahead. Go ahead and let those guys out. They're in prison so that we can milk, and they don't pester our cow. Yeah, he thought Jesus was coming back, so he started looking for properties, and we found this space. It was like 2 hours north of us.
Are you talking good or bad about me?
All good things. Here, you hold this.
Is your arm not strong enough?
I'm not strong enough to YouTube. So we found this little spot and it was perfect, centralized to our family in Houston, our family in Dallas, our family in Austin, and we would have this like bug out spot that had no water, had no electricity, and we'd never camped in our lives. And that was the beginning of how we became homesteaders. So over the years, we've accumulated more and more animals as one does. The ducks are new. They're probably, I don't know, almost 6 months old, and they're hilarious and fun, and I wish we would have gotten ducks sooner. They're Pekin ducks, so they can be a dual purpose. They should be laying eggs. Hello. Hello. They should be laying eggs in the next like month or two, and they're also good for meat birds. This is our first round of ducks that we would actually end processing or just eating eggs. Hi, you're so cute.
But they're just too
it's
sweet.
Like you want to come. Oh, hello.
They do.
Oh, I know I don't have any goodies, but you're so cute.
We need to keep like corn in our...
They're just so cute. In our pockets.
Yeah, I know. That's what like people do that.
We're very realistic homesteaders, so I have not even cleaned my porches for you. Forget about the inside, but I have done a lot of tour videos of this house. It's kind of unique because we took a shed and converted it into a home. So we call it a small home, but that's because we have 7 people living in 800 square feet. I would call that small. So in the same way that someone might be a single person in a tiny house on wheels, which we did consider, this is a really good fit for our families. We've got a full layout on the first floor and then 2 lofts where our kids sleep. We also have a studio that we built in the back so that we can produce videos like this for you. So this is our huge house, and it's only huge because the porches double the square footage. We do a lot of life out there. It's a lot of like cooking and then eating when the mosquitoes aren't out, and a lot of just playing when it's rainy or too hot, because we are coming up on Texas summer, which is gonna be like 92 degrees in the first week of May. A lot of people think it's nuts to have a shed that you convert into a house, but it's kind of a trend. There's a lot of people doing this. And when we were living in the city, I didn't want to trade a mortgage for another mortgage. Like I didn't want to go from $1,000 a month and make a lateral move. So when Bo was like, hey, I've got this crazy idea, and it would take us from $1,000 a month to like $300 to own 7 acres and live in a house that was fully paid off, I was like, yup, sold America. So
Are you saying our mortgage was $1,000 in suburbia?
I think so. What was it?
It was like $2,500.
Okay, that's like a lot more.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, so
Yeah.
I haven't even thought about it.
I had a good idea.
It was
a
great
good idea. You can continue now.
Another one of Bo's brilliant ideas is that he created a separate space. So we used to share a lot about our shed to house on this channel here, but we created a separate space for Shed to House on YouTube, and it's just called Shed to House. It's our YouTube channel. And then there's a Shed to House Facebook group, which we kind of were surprised that it took off. And that's also how we got into YouTube in the first place. Moving into a shed to house meant that my family could live off a lot less money. We could do a lot more things together. Bo could work more from home and on the homestead. And that became like the channel, like the avenue that we could create income from home was through that. And we had an essential oil business. So those two things provided income so that we could be on the property all the time. I want to take you to the garden, and I'm going to make Bo take us to the garden because he was like, yes, we just did a renovation tour and we just went on a garden tour like last week, but a lot has changed and I want to show you a couple of really cool things. It's been...
You cannot take Kelly out of the garden no matter how much I say.
I was not always a gardener, and I think that's why I like it so much, because for a while garden was just function, but now it's got a lot of beauty in it and I really like that.
It's gotten fun.
It's gotten really fun. A lot of things are growing. We started fodder trees a couple years ago, and it was just these mulberries and then trees that work really good in our area, like there's a hybrid poplar and some willow. And then Food Forest Nursery sent us some of these that we're just gonna have an experiment with and see. So far, they're turning out to be really hardy in our weather, and we'll see how they handle through the summer. But these are the cool things that I'm super stoked about. I've never grown sunflowers before, and the sunflowers are so beautiful, and the girls are super excited about it, and we're like, wow, they're so tall. The bees, there's already bees on them. That's crazy. We've had so few bees in the past in our garden that now I'm like, I am jazzed about this. We've only had bumblebees. And then the second cool thing, and I promise we will get out of my garden, is this. Have you ever grown corn before? If you guys are coming from Roots and Refuge, I know you have seen corn, you appreciate corn, but I've never grown corn. And these are the corn silks here and here. I thought the corn was gonna come from the top. Guys, I thought I was gonna get one thing of corn. This at least has two things of corn. The other one, look, these are already, like, it's an actual corn. You guys, this is very, very exciting for me. So, like, I'm learning that this is how things grow, not just getting it from the store. That's really cool. Like, we've never grown harvest and beautiful things at once. So I've got some flowers growing, a few medicinal herbs, beetles that you want to knock their heads off. But the garden's been amazing for us because something we've needed to do, like we prayed about this when we first moved here, that we really felt like we were meant to steward the land well. And that's obvious for a lot of people who have rich earth and all these things, but we don't have that here. So our gardens are in beds instead of the ground because the ground just isn't conducive yet here to growing things. But yesterday, if you walked in the garden, all these low spots because of our rain would be filled with water. And that's amazing here because our whole goal this season has been to create spaces like this where the water comes, absorbs back into the ground, and then we're storing water in our rainy season instead of letting it wash off our property, which it has been doing for the past 5 years since we first got here. And finally, we have bandwidth to see how we can create green spaces for longer periods of time, even in our Texas drought. And I know that might sound super nerdy, but to me it's super cool. And so a lot of you are Texans. I saw a bunch of you say, I'm from Texas and I just found you. And I'm so excited about that because one day I dream of like meetups and hangouts and like actually talking about things that pertain to us because it's so unique. And yet, I can go to North Carolina and South Carolina and meet all our friends and learn so much from them too that would apply here. The ducks are following us. They're trying to get it. They're like, that garden gate is open. Okay, can we go check out other animals?
Yeah.
I have 5 kids, so this is really common. 2 days ago, this was a pool and there was a stream running from these rain tanks over here. And I think rain tanks are really cool and not a lot of people talk about them, so let's check it out. I remember going to Justin and Rebecca's and asking them, why doesn't Justin have a rain tank? And I think someone in the group just said, because he doesn't need one. Well, we're in Central Texas. In our summers, last summer, for example, went 4 months with no rain, 4 months with no rain, and we had 90 100+ degree days. So these small things, catching rain off of our roof and these small tanks, preserving water is like the best thing that we can do because we don't have a rain problem, but we do have just a rainy season and a water storage problem. So I think this is like the responsible thing for anybody who homesteads and doesn't have that like subtropical or heavy rainfall throughout the year. This has been a really good solution, and I think it's one of those things that more people should talk about, is just harvesting rainwater in a way that then makes it accessible. So we've got a little, what is it called? The switchy thing?
It's a spigot with a quick connect.
Yeah, quick connect, that's the word. So this is just a way for us to get water to our garden or to our animals, and the animals are really close by. We're trying to grow as much stuff as we can for them. So although these beds look really boring today, I hope I can show you this in a couple of weeks where it'll be full of at least sprouts of sweet potato or of regular potatoes. So we put, I think it was just gold potatoes, like Yukon Gold in both of these beds. And then we'll plant things like tomatoes or peppers here that'll grow a little bit higher above the ground level. And I think we're gonna put a fence here. We haven't quite decided, but the idea would be we could grow the heck out of these potatoes and then open the fence and just let our cow come browse here, because she would love a bunch of potato leaves. So it would be a supplement to her feed, and those fodders that I mentioned earlier, like
Definitely
the sweet potatoes.
I don't know. Can she eat potatoes?
I think we have
potatoes?
sweet potatoes as well in these beds.
No, I'm saying I don't know if she can eat the potato leaves.
Yeah, I have no idea. I
Yep.
mean, we would probably look that up first.
Yeah.
We'd Google it. We'd watch a YouTube on it. But those fodder trees in the garden and then these as well create this like supplemental feed for our animals, because feed costs a lot.
And then going over here, this is something that I am working on. So Vigo also sent us these inserts for this little bed. We just haven't gotten to it. And it's gonna be turning this into a wicking bed. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited to try that.
It'll be our first wicking bed, because we've done the Vigo beds and I love them. They're easy to assemble. Our kids have done almost all of them. And they're easy to like place out. Like if you're creating a design, I'm kind of design deficient. Is that a word? I'm design deficient, but when I can see it, it's helpful. So we like these beds for that. But this is the first time we've ever done a wicking bed.
Yeah, we went to go do it, and then we realized, oh man, I need to level all this out.
I don't think I know what a wicking bed is. It's like water on the bottom, right?
Well, let's show you, because the next
Is that
thing,
what it is? Okay.
Well, the next thing is
I had a suspicion.
a wicking bed is like if you ever have a towel that somehow like one of the ends of the towel or like something is in some sort of container of water, and it's just that one little spot, but then the entire towel becomes wet.
Oh, you were looking
That's
at me
not-
that whole time. Sorry, I was watching Finn.
That's
yes.
okay.
No, I see what you mean. So it's kind of like if you have, you're saying like if you had a cup of water and you put a piece of towel in it and it sucks up that towel,
Yeah.
the water climbs up the towel and distributes the water along the
The
towel.
same thing happens with the soil.
Okay, so I do know how these works then.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that that would be on a bigger scale, which makes me really excited.
So these are some new beds. We're like, no joke, guys. We did not clean up at all for y'all. So these are new from Vigo. We just love Vigo. They're sending us stuff, and if they're sending it for free.
I know, I want to be honest, like they're sending us stuff to try out, but we haven't shared anything that didn't work.
I know.
And so far, these have been really impressive. They're little indicators. Like I think this would be great for someone with a patio, but even just the other day, I'm really, like I have become a gardener. I have embraced the granny skills that I love, like gardening and baking sourdough. But I like that I can just walk outside and check on these, and they give you joy. So like you could actually put sunflowers in these or anything else. But they're built for tomatoes because they've got the cages, and I think that's super cool.
So you just put the water in here, and we just keep it on the back porch because this way faces south. And then you have the little indicator right here, like this thing floats up and down. It's super fun.
It's really cool.
And we even did these tomatoes from
Yeah,
cuttings.
yeah.
Kelly was trimming all of her tomatoes, and I said, hey, give me 2 good ones, and I will put them in a pot so that we can put them in these containers, because I knew that we had these. And it worked great. Like, propagating tomatoes are so simple.
Yeah, you didn't even like try and put them in water. They just went into compost from our cows, which we'll go see in a sec. I want to show you one other animal, and
We'll show you that too.
such bad or good timing, I don't know. This is a very multifunctional space. Not everybody's office is also a guest room, and not everybody's guest room is where they had their 5th baby. But this is all 3 of them. It's also where we store a lot of our food, because when you live rural, it's just not easy to get to the Costco an hour each way. It's not always easy to run and get what you need at Walmart. So it's easier to have a space where we store all our food, kind of like a gigantic pantry. This was a second building that we put up. We used a builder that we actually met up through social media with. It's called United Portable Buildings. They did not sponsor this video, but we really, really like them. They have fantastic customer service. So if you found us from somewhere else and you're thinking about a shed to house, I'd call them, because I love our building. I love it so much, I'm thinking about building another one. We're gonna pan this way and talk about these rain tanks, because I showed you some that might have seemed a little overly simplistic. These are a lot bigger than the side little slimline tanks I just showed you. And Bo put it together himself, so tell us about this, because I could talk about it, but it wouldn't be as cool.
So we have a lot of stuff on our channel about these rain tanks. It comes from the back porch, and this is 2 2,500 gallon tanks. They are plumbed together, and yes, that overflow pipe broke, but it's all good, it all works. And we're even wanting to get a couple of more of these. They're not super cheap, but this is 5,000 gallons of rainwater. It is so helpful when the summer hits and we have 0 rain. And someday it's on our list to be able to figure out how to get the rainwater into the house. We'll do that someday.
It's not gonna
Slinkies. If the studio is how we store our food and do the weird prepper thing that we never thought we would do, I never imagined we would do it. I think Bo always had in mind that we're gonna be prepared for the end of the world. We're gonna be, what does he say? Jack Spirko says,
design a better life, whether times get tough and even if they don't.
There you go. So that's what we've done here, and I think it's one of those things that is never ending. You're always kind of adding or acting and then adjusting to things that didn't work. The pigs are one of those things. Tell me more. Just preach it. That we are acting and adjusting to. We've been breeding this Idaho pasture pig because when we were in the city and we saw Hurricane Harvey come through, it was this crazy freak thing that happened over our city of Katy, and it flooded so much that the next day Bo went out just to kind of see what was happening. And there were lines around the block at our local HEB.
That's a grocery store.
Yeah, our grocery store. They were just trying to get water.
This is outside of our local grocery store. This is outside of a local HEB. Oh my goodness. Wow.
That was probably 2 years into us, looking into what does it look like to live a life where you're ready for the worst, and if nothing happens, you're in good shape. That was an eye-opening moment for us to realize how many people didn't have the bathtub full of water like we did, which is basic and not free, but pretty much. And it didn't take a lot of preparation and effort. But most people in our city were just kind of flying that regular convenience life. And the pigs here for us have been a way where we can provide meat in our freezer regularly for our family. So we raise them for meat. We've also sold them as breeders to continue a really good bloodline. And we think, I'm gonna show you this big guy who's so sweet. But I think we're not always worrying about the end of the world. Sometimes we're just focusing on natural disasters. Hello. I'm gonna take you back through our woods. A third of our property, right? About a third of our property is wooded. So we've got oaks and cedar. We actually just had to take an oak down recently, which is rare. I think we've not taken very many down with the exception of large projects. This one was just getting so big and it was too close to our studio and really unsafe to trim. So the girls have turned it, I think it's a shop. Most things get turned into shops at our house. So I'm gonna take you by Bill, who is the gentleman who pays the bills. I think if you can find the right pig and the right breed, you're gonna be really happy homesteaders. And Bill is the sweetest, most gentle, most contented animal I've ever met. And he is so precious that even our kids feel safe doing chores with him. And we've had him for like 3.5 years now, I think. So I couldn't get a better pig than Bill. His paddock right now is this like poly wire, so we can move him throughout the forest.
There's one.
You just heard our pigs grunting at us and getting shocked by the wire. These 3 have just been trained to the wire, so we can throw them in the forest. And then half of their feed can be getting to the fallen acorns and all of those things so that they're happy, healthy pigs, and then they will go to freezer camp when they're finally ready. But where they are is gonna become probably a future home site. We haven't put it into the works yet, but we have plans in the next 2 years to build a larger home here, because while this has been a fantastic shed to house for our kids, they are getting taller and they don't stop getting taller. So my oldest is taller than Bo now, and he's like, I really like my room, Mom, but if I could stand up in my room, that would be even better. And that's our plan. So here we would make this sort of like a courtyard. I don't think we could rebuild these buildings for any cheaper than we've already done it. So we have no plans to like scrap them or sell them or put them anywhere else. This will just become kind of a little homestead compound. We'll have to take out some of these trees, but we'll let the pigs do a little bit of work there before we, start clearing anything to actually put a home in. We definitely missed the boat on raising meat birds this year because we're not going to do this in the summer heat. So we've decided we'll do a batch of meat birds in the fall, fill the freezer, especially after we've dwindled down some of our pork. And these are the John Siskovich chicken tractors that are now guarding all our food from our cow, who loves to go in and get feed from every other animal.
Kelly says I shouldn't mention it, but we're replacing the tarps and everything on there. You can only do what you can only do.
If you give an opportunity for Bo to apologize for a mess on his own property, he's gonna do it.
It's a mess. Okay.
It's a homestead. We built this as a cow sort of transition area. When we were first starting with cows, we began with a dairy cow and milk. I was pregnant and was like, why not get a dairy cow? Why not add another enormous animal to our plate that needs daily milking? But these pens are absolutely makeshift and they work great for us. They're 2 stalls. When it's a real rainy season or a super cold season, we'll put a windbreak up with a tarp, but it allows us to have 1 space for a calf or 2 spaces for 2 calves, or 1 for a calf and 1 for a cow. Right now, our milk cow comes in this outer area. It's where she eats in the evening. And then it lets us muck up in a much more tidy way instead of having to like walk across our whole property. We've just begun, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, intensive rotational grazing, where we make smaller paddocks during the day and Goldie goes from one to the other. That way she stomps out all these grasses, she stomps in new seeds, her waste becomes fertilizer for that space. She utilizes more of our property than if we just let her roam around.
Also, here's the milking stanchion, which we do not use. She hates the milking stanchion. She'll milk.
I think she just has mistrust of the milking stanchion. She doesn't like it because she doesn't trust it. And that's okay. We got her from a dairy. They never used stanchions like this. They just had a big space where grain came down and she ate it and she loved it. So as long as we give her grain, she doesn't care where she is.
Yeah.
But she does care if she's gonna have to be in that stanchion. She's not going. We're gonna walk through sort of like almost an unused part of our property. A lot of it's wooded, like 1/3 of the property is wooded, which is great in Central Texas because we have so many hot days that we need places for shade and for our animals. So we've really tried, again, to honor the land and come back to this space where animals are working together with each other. Like we have chickens that'll come out and scratch any poo or whatever's that's left out. And when the chickens aren't breaking free of their prison, this is where we have them. So they're in like a typical Justin Rhodes chickshaw We used to travel this around and we might get back to it, but quite frankly, it's just such an easy chicken coop that this is where they are. And they go up at night and they give us lots of eggs. In fact, they've been giving us a decent amount of eggs, but when we get to our summer, it gets so hot versus like a lot of you who might watch from Canada, and your winters are when your chickens are like tired of laying. Ours do the exact opposite. So they're in this poultry netting that we never ever electrify. However, on the other side, we've got a couple more pigs who are a little bit bigger. They're not breeders, they're gonna be feeders, and they're in this poly wire. So these ones are already trained, and they've done a really good job. Like you can see into our woods. They've just cleared out a lot of the brush. So, hi guys. So they're waiting to see if we brought treats, and sorry, we did not. So this is the house site where we think we're gonna put the next larger shed to house, just from a different angle. We did a really crazy thing. I don't know if it's paid off yet, but I guess that's sort of the name of the game. We're gonna do stuff and then hopefully it pans out in a positive way. So a couple years ago, I went out of state. I went to Florida, and I get a text from Bo who says, "Hey, when you come back, 2 days later, we can have somebody come dig a pond." And the pond that we had in mind just got bigger and bigger and took up more and more space, and I regret nothing about it. However, we have not had enough rain to fill this pond. So let me show you just how big it is. It's not far from the property's entrance. Our whole property is kind of like a football field, and we liked that because when we were living in the city, we thought, okay, we'd love a place with trees, something a little more private. I'm watching my step, that's why I'm not looking at you so much. Something a little bit more private, off the road. It's rural, but it's not super like isolated. We've got, ooh, look at these pods. This is not milkweed, although it looks like it, it's not. It's like a dupe, and it doesn't feed monarchs, but it's still pretty. I think I've not always been a gardener, but I've always been very plant nerdy. So this is a Mimosa pudica, and when you touch it, Bo's gonna be like, Kelly, can we just get to the pond?
That if I saw a good squirrel.
When you touch it, it starts to fold up. It's like a sensitive plant. We get home from this Florida trip, and the pond is just, it looks like a meteorite has come from outer space and just burrowed into our property, eating up this huge space. Everything out here, this is actually a pretty good picture of like regenerative agriculture. Back here, we had, just plows and plows through of heavy machinery. So it was just sand. Our area is like a sandy loam for about 6 inches, and then 2 feet is nothing but clay. And when we got to the back of our property, which this kind of catches a low slope, and thinking about permaculture, that's really where you do want a pond, is where it's naturally going to catch the water and keep it from running off your property. That's what we had to do back here. In fact, this is a part that for whatever reason just hasn't restored. And 2 years ago, we just had almost an entire acre that looked like this, plus a 1/4 acre pond, which is right over here. So we had a tiny little bitty pond that was just housing snapping turtles. And we had somebody come build a bigger, better option. And we have a center focal piece.
The fence is hot.
Yeah, don't touch the fence. Hot fence. We have a center focal piece of this oak right here. And then we're able to manage it grass-wise with the cows, and then a tractor, and oh, look, it has a yellow one. This is the puffball that comes on that mimosa. Freaking love nature. This is like a very happy spot. I have learned that when I moved to the country, I was gonna be a lot less functional than when my kids were little and I was running to all the appointments and keeping a very busy life when we lived in the city. But here, we're forced to rest, we're forced to pause. We have to do a lot of things the harder way instead of conveniently. And the pond is the very first, absolutely very first thing that we did just to be beautiful. Yes, it's like a great rain storage, but it's also just beautiful and quiet. And the breeze is through the trees back here, and you hear 17 different types of birds. This is a payday.
Walk us up.
Where are we gonna walk? Oh, on the
Well, I
dam
mowed.
wall.
I mowed.
I'll walk you on the dam wall. That's my 11-year-old's favorite thing to say. If you have 11-year-olds, you understand. Hey, you did good, babe.
Well, it's not a finish mower.
The water actually looks good today, babe.
Yeah. I mean, we've gotten some rain. Like this is, you know, they say April showers bring May flowers. I don't know if that works for us here in Texas. Like we'll just get a decent amount of rain, a little bit in March. Right at the end of April, beginning of May, we'll get some
Heaps.
big,
Yeah.
like, 2 to 3 inches. And hopefully it'll fill this up once. Like
was
it
gonna
did.
say.
Kelly did say it didn't fill up ever. We filled it.
You're right.
It's filled up once, and then once the summer hit, it goes down.
Yeah. Also, I would say some cool things that you've done are, I was gonna say, like, can we even talk about the grasses? That's probably a whole nother video, but I really think you can green deserts. I really think you can learn practices for your own area that help you green spaces that aren't green. So this whole thing was dirt. And yes, we did replace the topsoil from when we first dug the pond. But even after the first season of topsoil came, these grasses are thick. Like if you were a balding man, you would want this on your head. This is a desirous variety of grasses and wildflowers all across this dam. And I would say even a year ago, there was another 4 feet of just dirt. So these are the things that happen when you let natives establish. I have a bunch of friends who live on old farmland, and their cities or their counties are incentivizing prairies. So they're just diversifying the heck out of their farmland, and they have walking prairies everywhere. And I think that over the years, we're just gonna see more and more diversity like we're already seeing on the dam wall further across our property. I'm really excited about that. Like this is like a perfect spot to just sit. You can even see the cows. They're twitching through the trees back there. They must be laying down.
Walking up to the cows. Kelly wanted Goldie, the cow, for the milk. I was saying, okay, sure, yes, I want it.
It's a commitment, babe.
I want it
Babe.
I want the manure. I want the cow
Yeah.
poop because I just want this.
Like they were waiting for us.
I know, it's very cool. It's very cool. And we're finally able to do it. We're finally able to rotate the cows. Like, if I have time, I'll try to put some footage up where you see what this was whenever they made
This is like our YouTube for
the
this
pond.
week. But
And the
look
cows and seed have really
They're
helped.
just
So,
waiting. Look at them.
you telling me to be quiet?
No, I'm talking on my phone quietly so that I don't interrupt you.
Oh,
But
Kelly's,
look at them.
Kelly's so happy about the cows laying down and chewing their
T-shirt
cud.
idea. I freaking love cows. Are you kidding me?
Okay, so this is allowing us to get Goldie fed.
But look how satisfied she is. She's laying down, she's chewing her cud. I didn't even know this, but cows produce milk when they're laying down or chewing their cud.
Really?
I was like, that is the coolest thing. I learned it from look at her, she's so happy. Like completely contented cows. That's a wonder. We don't
Yeah.
deserve cows. They are so majestic.
All right, so real quick, this is how we're doing it. What we have here behind me is, this is a timeless fence that runs all the way down. I would say that back here is probably 4 acres.
Where we are now?
Like just from the top of the
Even be
forest.
5.
Maybe. So 4 or 5 acres. And this is what we really did like about this property. We thought it was kind of cool when we first arrived, but then whenever we
Yeah.
saw this back and how thicketed it was and how it did open some pasture,
It's like a different place
It
because
really
the
is.
front is it was so wooded. Even everything that we've cleared now that we walk you through today, like that was almost all hand cleared. And then we had some at the house site that was cleared with a tractor, but a bulldozer. But back here was like, it's like opening the door from your cluttered living room into your backyard, and it's just wide open. There's a hay field next door. So when you walk out here, it's just like breathing. It's beautiful.
It's always breezy. So we wanted to find a way to rotationally graze. Oh, BB's nursing over there.
Majestic.
That fit our property. And we were watching Greg Judy. I was watching Greg Judy, and he laid out how to do this on 5 acres. It was the best system that I've seen. So basically, we have this timeless fence. This is high tensile electric wire. I will not touch it. It will hurt so bad. Like, this is extremely hot right now. And it runs all the way down and it cuts our property in half. Then from this fence, when I say timeless, what I mean, we call it the timeless fence because of these timeless fence posts right here. We just love these posts. They're awesome. If you want me to do a full tour on just this, I can do that, but it'll take a little bit longer. But with this, what we're able to do is tie off these smaller paddocks. So let me show you here. So as I come here, we have these electric fence reels, and this is just electric fence tape. And you see this gate hook electrifies the wire, and then we're able to run an electric reel all the way to our back end of the property, which will show you our neighbor's hayfield. It's just pretty over there. It goes all the way there from one, and then you see another line up there, and that goes all the way to the other side. So then here is the other line. This goes to the other side of our property. And then we just do a simple tie off to make the paddock smaller, because the aim is to give them a small paddock every single day. So fresh grass every single day, which allows the grass to
recover.
Yeah, to just recover.
And I think we've seen that.
Oh, it's working.
Now, Lord willing, we'll have done enough work so far this year that come summer, I mean, really, this is all just an experiment. So if you like experiments and being part of them every single day, you might be a homesteader. It's exciting. There's so much diversity. And one thing that I learned through a couple of things we've been watching lately is when you do these smaller paddocks, you get a bigger return on that recovery time. So they've stomped down all the wooded weeds in a lot of areas on the property back here that would have gone rampant. And then they've stomped in seeds from grasses that we want to return next year. Time will tell on their waste to see. I just can't wait to see a drone shot on that to see really how different it is now.
Also, following the timeless fence, pretty much just underneath it is just 1-inch PVC water. So
oh yeah, that was a good thing you did this year.
There's a spigot up there, and then there's one you see right here. And I think I have like 3 or 4 more all the way to the back. Kelly probably wants to walk and show you the hayfield. That's not our hayfield, but it's just pretty.
Our view.
It's our view.
Every improvement that has happened here, we've gotten to be a part of, whether it was just throwing out seeds or running the irrigation to the part of the property that's like desperate, or putting earthworks in. Oh my gosh, another puffball. Putting earthworks in.
What's a puffball?
Those yellow puffballs. And some years they're pink. Nature's amazing.
Oh, okay. Some years this is pink?
It's so fluffy. Yes, some years it's pink. Some tomatoes are orange.
So this, you see how thick this is. The cows have not been in this yet.
Well, actually they were here, and the last time they were here was like 2.5 months ago.
Well, yeah, that's what,
Or maybe even 2 months ago, because I busted my leg trying to run that fence line right there.
Oh, you're right. They were over here.
So that's exciting, because look how well it is.
So whenever you see that milk video that we made.
This is why it feels so open. This is why it feels so good back here, is because you have this whole space. It just feels good.
This is our neighbor's property. It has nothing to do with us, but it's just pretty. Whenever we found this property, we came back here, we felt the breeze, we got out of our realtor's truck, and we're like, okay.
I get it.
I could hang here. I could hang here.
I could hang here. I hope that when people invite you to their homesteads, it's more than just like a humble brag. Like, I love what we've done here. I think it's amazing, but I think the things that we could actually brag about are no thing that we could actually show you. Like, I could brag about the character of my kids to no credit of my own. I can brag about how beautiful nature is even without my help. I could brag about how this 7 acres is going to be totally restored into something really, really fruitful, but I couldn't do that on my own. So I hope that when you come to a channel like ours and you connect with homesteaders who maybe are doing the thing that you want to do, you don't feel like comparison is keeping you down. You feel like, man, like you get access. Like, I could do that thing, because that's how we started. We watched Justin Rhodes' Periscope. A periscope, gosh, like, I don't know, 8 years ago? So long ago. And those kinds of things where people just gave us a little bit of look into what they were doing made us feel like we could do that too. And it gave us conversations with people. I mean, Art and Bree sat down with us on several occasions on a Zoom just to be like, you guys, you can do this. Those were literally their words. And I felt like I could do this. I remember thinking,
Art kicked me in the butt. He was like, so when are you moving to your land?
Right,
When
right.
are you
We
moving
owned
to
it
your homestead,
already.
your property? I was like, yep, I'm trying, man.
Yeah, and here we are. Just because we did it completely imperfectly without being able to write a book about how to do anything. I'm not the how-toer, but I'll tell you how I did it. And maybe you'll learn things that work for you, and then maybe you'll learn things that you'll never try because it was a total bust. But when you see wildflowers and you see open hayfields and you feel the breeze, you're like, yeah, that sounds right. So I hope you feel like that when you come to our channel. Thank you for being here. Thanks for so many of you who have shared in comments like, I'm living in this place, or I found you from this other channel. And it's just like a privilege. We don't take it for nothing that you would only have a certain amount of hours in the day and you would share that with us. So we hope that we do justice by you when we share a video with you. Perfect timing.
Kids are calling.
Kids are calling. I love these cows so much. It feels like the rain is coming.
Hi, Goldie.
I did talk about Goldie up at her cow paddock.
Hi, Mama. You're a good girl.